Objective for this lesson is I can find common units or number of units to compare fractions. And so we're still comparing fractions like we did in the last lesson, but we're going to use a number line like we did. We're going to go back and use tape diagrams, and then I can show you a third way where you can find common units or number of units to compare fractions. So here's some of the types of problems you're going to have in your independent practice. So just like last time, you're going to have problems with number lines, and you have to decide, is 3/4 or 7/8 larger? So again, you have to put these fractions on the number line. So I always start with, when I'm drawing a tape diagram or on a number line, I always start with the fraction with the smallest denominator, so that's 3/4. So first thing I have to do is divide my number line. So if I'm going to place 3/4 on the number line, how many parts do I have to divide my number line into? That's right, 4. Our denominator tells us that. So it's already divided into 2, so now I just have to split it again. And so that's 0/4, and that's 4/4, right? 1, 2, there's 3/4 right there. All right. So now I have to find where 7/8 is. So now I have to divide my number line into 8 pieces to put 7/8 on the number line. But it's great, I already have 4, so now I just have to double that, or split each piece in half. All right, so now I find 7/8, so I just have to count. All right, so 7/8 is right there. So they're very close. They're both greater than half, but you can see 7/8 is slightly larger than 3/4. So you're going to have some of these problems again to do today. You're also going to have compare fractions using tape diagrams. So tape diagrams are great, especially if they already have the tape diagrams drawn for you, because all you have to do is look at the pictures and you can see which fraction is larger. So start you off with one that's not super difficult. Tell me, which fraction is larger, 5/12 or 2/3? Yep, 2/3, right? Because this one is 2/3 and it goes all the way out here, much further than 5/12. But I want to show you something. So we know how to compare fractions using tape diagrams and number lines now. I'm going to show you a third way. So remember, in order to compare fractions, you have to have the same denominator. But we have learned, when we've found equivalent fractions, how to change our denominator but keep the fraction the same value. So if I'm comparing 5/12 and 2/3, I want to get the same denominator so it's easy to tell which is larger. So what you're going to do is you're always going to, in this case, you want to, well, not always, but most of the time, you want to take the smaller denominator and ask that question. What did they multiply? What could I multiply 3 by to get 12 so that I have the same denominator? Because I want to find an equivalent fraction to 12. So what did I multiply 3 by to get 12? That's right, 4. So if I multiply the denominator by 4, what do I have to do next? That's right, multiply the numerator by 4. So my new numerator is going to be 8. So 2/3 is equivalent to 8/12. But now I have two fractions here with the same denominator. Now it makes it really easy to see which one is larger because 8 out of 12 is greater than 5 out of 12. When you're dealing with fractions and which you're comparing them, it's always good to think of it as either pizza, right? Eating eight pieces out of 12 in the box is more than eating 5 pieces if there's 12 in the box. Or think of it like a quiz. 8 out of 12 on the quiz is better than 5 out of 12. So that's a third way you can compare. So we have number line, tape diagram, and we have what's called finding common denominators, where you make an equivalent fraction so that you end up with two denominators that are the same, so it's easy to compare. So I want to give you one to try, and you can use any method you want. I want you to compare 2/3 and 7/9 and tell me which is larger. Okay, so 3 different methods. Let's start with common denominators. Let's say you chose to do that. And you said to yourself, all right, well, what do I multiply 3 by to get 9? And the answer is 3, which means I have to multiply the numerator by 3. So now I have an equivalent fraction to 2/3, which is 6/9. And now I can see they're super close, but 7/9 is a little bit more than 6/9. If you tried a number line, it will look like this. Remember, our number lines are always going to be between 0 and 1 when we're dealing with fractions. You want to put in your midpoint. So 2/3, I'm dividing this into 3 sections, 3 equal sections. So 2/3 would be about here. It's going to be a close one with the number line. And then 7/9, so 2/3 was here, so 9ths, instead of 3 sections I want 9, so each of these has to be divided into 3. So 7/9 would be here, so you can see that 7/9 is slightly bigger than 2/3. Right? And then again, you could do tape diagrams. I always think if you're going to draw a picture, I just think tape diagrams, or I don't know, tape diagrams are very similar to number lines. You can do either one. But just remember, with tape diagrams, you're kind of drawing this 2 tape diagrams at the same time. So that's a third. There you go. You can continue the lines down there. So that's 2/3. Make that into 9ths. Color in 7, and there you go. Another example of how 7/9 is a little bit bigger than 2/3. So as always, rewatch the video or part of the video if you need to, and never be afraid to ask me for help if you need it.